Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm not the governor, obviously. I'm on the governor's chair here, which means I'll get in trouble here in a few minutes. But my name is Dave Hardy. I'm the Secretary of Revenue for Governor Justice. And Mark Muco, my Deputy Secretary of Revenue with 35 years of experience, is there to my left. And welcome, everybody. The governor's on his way in, and I just got a message. He's about 5 minutes out, but he said, go ahead and quote unquote warm up the crowd a little bit. So I can't play music. I don't have any talent. But let me tell you a little bit about what we're here to discuss today. Of course, this is a town hall meeting to discuss the governor's very bold, innovative plan to reduce the state income tax in West Virginia by 60%. And Mark and I had a big role in helping the governor put that plan together, along with many other people. And I want to make it real simple. There was 3 goals when we started. The day after the election, which would have been November 4, 2020, the governor announced that he wanted to commence a plan to repeal the state income tax in West Virginia. And we all said, wow, we need to meet with the governor fast and get as much information as we can on how to do this and what his goals are. His first goal was, don't reduce the state budget, but don't reduce it, keep it flat. In other words, don't grow the state budget, but let's don't reduce the state budget. Because when we reduce the state budget, it becomes very difficult. There are a lot of very important programs and things that people in West Virginia want in our state budget. And for your trivia game here, the state's budget is $4,574,000,000 general revenue budget. And the budget that we prepared and submitted to the legislature, or the governor submitted this year, is exactly that. It's $2 or $3 million less. It's about $4.69 billion, $4,694,000,000. So the budget is essentially the same. It's flat. And then going forward, the governor wants to hold the budget flat as we move forward. And if you hold the state budget flat every year and it stays the same, 1% raise in the state's budget is about $46 million. So if you hold the budget flat, you've saved $92 million, because traditionally the budget has gone up 2 to 3%. That was our first goal. He didn't want to hurt anybody through the state budget. Second, more importantly, we wanted to reduce the state income tax. And we looked at it and we decided that the first place to go on that would be to reduce the tax on wages, salaries, Social Security, pensions, and retirement and unemployment. And this plan reduces the state income tax not by 50% on those incomes that I just named, but by 60%. And that puts $1,035,000,000 back into West Virginians' pockets in 12 months. And you say, wow, that's a big number. Let's say that number again. $1,035,000,000 that was going into the state's hands is now being returned to the taxpayers through the governor's plan. But more importantly, we don't want to hurt people. And the people that the governor was most concerned about are the lower income households in West Virginia. There's 700, this is all from the Census Department, this is what Mark Muco is so good at doing. There's 732,000 plus households in West Virginia. And we looked at and broke down those households by income. And you can look at the household incomes in West Virginia. There are 10,000 households, so there are many households in West Virginia that have an income of less than $10,000. And obviously, they're not paying much state income tax. So the governor wanted to very much factor in that those households, as part of this plan, might be paying a larger sales tax or a larger soft drink tax, and they're not saving as much in income tax. So we designed a model where every household with a household income of $35,000 or less gets a rebate on their state income taxes. So everybody wins, everybody. Every household in West Virginia gets more money in its pocket. Most get more money in their pocket because their state income tax reduces by 60%. But if you are a lower income earner, then your state income tax would not be reducing as much. So we came up with a program to give a quarterly rebate to those lower income households, and that totals $52 million. So if you want to do your quick math, it's $1,035 million returned in state income tax through the cut, and $52 million returned to the taxpayers of our lower income households. Plus dollars of cash back in the hands of West Virginians. Those West Virginians are going to spend that money. And when they spend it, it has a tremendous effect on our consumer sales tax and our economy. And the quick math is per household on average, the average household will receive $1,484 back into that household, and that's on average. And now I've done as good well as I can filling in for the big guy here, but the governor's just arrived, so I'm going to yield this stool here to the governor of West Virginia, Governor Jim Justice.
Well, I hope everybody's good. I'm going to take this mask off to be able to talk to you and everything, but I'm really just going to turn it over to you guys. I'll give you 100,000 foot real quick, and I'll tell you that from the absolute bottom of my heart, I believe this wholeheartedly. You know, I think we have a chance in West Virginia, and the chance is right now. I think that because of lots of different things, but like it or not like it, but you know, since I've been here, things statewide have gotten better. With all that, we passed the Roads to Prosperity program and everything, where we're building roads and we're repairing roads and we're doing all kinds of stuff there. Record pay raises beyond belief to our people. We've helped our vets. We've helped the elderly. We've helped lots and lots and lots of different folks. In all that, we produce surplus after surplus after surplus. You know, we're ranked first in the nation over and over in the pandemic and how we've handled it, from the health and safety to the economics of the whole thing. In doing all that, I caution you to just think about just one thing. Did more people come or not? And they haven't. We have an incredible record that all across this nation and the world, the whole nation, the whole world is looking at us, and we still got a real problem. You know, in this area, you're flourishing beyond belief, and we just want to make it better. We don't want to make it more confused or more congested. We want to make it better for everybody, border counties and everything alike. But absolutely, with all in me, we've got to make it better for our entire state. And I hardly know you're here in a lot of ways. I know you're here. I really know you're here. And I appreciate you. And I'm going to stand rock solid right with that. Now, in this, just think of just my challenge. People, good gracious sakes of living, we've had meeting after meeting after meeting. But in all of that, in all that work, I thought that may have been me. But with all that work, what we've decided we had to do was we had to find a mechanism to get everybody, all wage earners, everybody, whether you're paying income tax or not, cash positive. Now we did that. Everybody. Everybody's going to end up with more net dollars in their pocket after they pay for a rise in consumer sales tax or whatever it may be. You know, whether it be tobacco or soft drinks or whatever. The other thing we try to do is try to spread everything out. Make a little bit here, a little bit make up there, a little bit here, a little bit over here. Now we all know, and we'd be really foolish if we didn't think this. The level of the opportunity we don't know. But we do know that all the other states are growing and our state's not. We do know that without any question, in my opinion, if we do this, people will come. Wages will go up, more job opportunities, property values will go up, home values up. Absolutely, it'll happen. I believe it'll happen with an avalanche of people, and whether it be that or one, we know at least one will come. So, in that, what I would say is just this. We had to take care of everybody, all the wage earners, to make sure the cash positive, and we had to look at the opportunity, and we had to make sure that our state was whole. That's what we had to do. And then go as big as we could possibly go without really putting anything at risk. That's why we went to 60%. Right off the get-go. And then what I'm very hopeful and I am advised of and everything else is then we're going to just glide to the finish line, and in probably 3 years, maybe 4, we'll let our growth extinguish the rest of the tax. And at that point in time, then instead of the households, like Secretary Hardy was mentioning, having $1,483, they'll have $2,600 as an average. It's amazing. I mean, if you really step right back and just think about it. Now, let me just do this. Let me just touch on a couple other things real quick. You got a lot of border counties and border states that are all around you. And you may think that from an argumentative standpoint, that this is going to hurt small businesses because people can go across state lines and buy stuff in another state. Now, I want you to just think about this just 1 second. For a long time, I tried to get everybody cash positive, and I tried to talk about the opportunity, but the biggest thing that I missed for a long time is just this one thing. You know, in the pandemic, everything boiled down to age, and age. My dad used to say there's 3 ways to build a road, and that's drainage. Well, there's 3 ways to really manage the pandemic, and it was age, and age. And I want to tell you, when you're thinking about this, you can't think of anything but one thing, in my opinion, and that is money, and money. And let me just explain. Let me just go right into the detail and just explain, okay? The money part is just as simple. If you do this to the 60% level, you're going, without any question, you're going to put $1,087 million back in the hands of our people. Now, we're not going to just let you have more in your paycheck. We're going to send you a check. And we vetted that out how we can do that. So we're going to let it flow through just the way it is right now. On your paycheck, every 2 weeks, you're going to have the tax deducted just like it is right now. But every 3 months, or maybe 2 months, every quarter, we're going to send you that money right back. So it's going to come right back to you every quarter in the form of a check from the state. Now that doesn't count the $52 million of cash rebate checks to the people that are having a hard way to go. But this is coming right back to everybody. Now the reason we're going to do that is just this. That in itself will stimulate our economy beyond belief. Now just think about one thing. Think about every single household you see out those doors. Every single household as an average, will have $1,483 coming to every one of those households every year forever. And that's without us going further than what we're going. That's at the 60% level. All you got to do is just ask one question. Is there going to be more pop sold here? Is there going to be more cigarettes sold, more beer sold, more dresses sold at the dress store? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Honest to goodness, if every one of those households has $1,483 of money that's coming into them every year, can anybody in their right mind argue that there's not going to be more dresses sold downtown? And if we miss this because of this, and this to me is I don't know what to say it. It's a backward kind of, it is just not a thought that I want to entertain in my mind at all. And that would be just this. If I could say to you that I'm going to have you net positive dollars, whether it be 250 or 2,000, and then I would say to you that I'm going to put $1,087 million into this economy, and you look back at me and say, I don't really care that you're saying I'm going to be net positive $3,000. You're saying you're going to raise the bubblegum tax a penny, and by God, I ain't voting for a tax increase. And if you say that, and you have every right to do that, if you say that and you believe that, you're going to miss the god-awfulest opportunity that we've ever had, 100 million to 1. You're going to miss a chance of a lifetime for this state beyond belief. And you may say, well, why don't we just do it gradually? First of all, nobody believe it. Nobody believe it. Nobody's going to come if they don't believe it. You know? Secondly, we have the spotlight of the world on us right now. Listen, I mean, honestly, every national broadcast, you've seen television, you've seen absolutely what's going on. Every single night, every single day, I could be on a national broadcast full time. Full time. Right now is our moment. Right now is the time. Opportunity doesn't flash. You know, I'm a business guy. I've said it over and over. Really and truly, there's too much fighting on political lines all the time. I'm not a politician. I don't want to be a politician. I absolutely don't want anything to do with the way Washington behaves. I do not want to do that. I want to do the great, I'm not here to do what Jim Justice wants to do either. I'm here to do what the people want to do. And I will promise you, to the good Lord above, when you understand, and when the people understand, you know, they will probably come up with the same thing that the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg and Fox and everybody else gets, and that is, we can't imagine one single person that wouldn't be for this. That's the very words of the Wall Street Journal. Are you kidding me? How in the world could anybody possibly be against this? That's how I feel too. And when the people understand, when they really understand, and I'm going to say this last thing. Yesterday I was at Beckley. And I had a guy walk up to the podium to ask a question. And he said, I run Skyline. Well, I didn't have any idea what Skyline was. Well, it's a restaurant. And then after he said, I run Skyline, he said, really, we make our money on liquor and beer and soda drinks in the restaurant business because we don't make that much money on food. And he said, I'm going to have to change, with your hike in the liquor tax, I'm going to have to change my price of shot of Jack Daniels, from $7 to $10. And then nobody's going to come to my restaurant. And you're going to hurt my business. And I said, okay. I said, Secretary Hardy, tell us exactly what the liquor tax change is going to do to a fifth of Jack Daniels. It's $1.70 a fifth. I turned to him and I said, sir, how many shots do you get out of a fifth? He said, 24. I said, you're thinking your cost is going to change from $7, and you're going to raise your price from $7 to $10. And really this is going to raise your cost 7 cents. 7 cents. And that's how absolutely misunderstanding people can be. At the end of the day, would I rather have that restaurant with a cost that is 7 cents greater on a shot that I'm going to sell to people for $7? Would I rather have that restaurant with everybody around me with $1,483 that can come to that restaurant and buy whatever they want to buy? Or would I rather sit and be worried about the 7 cents? That's the whole thing here, guys. That's everything. Ask me anything you want to ask, please. Yes, sir.
Should I be here or go to the mic?
It doesn't, well, if you'll talk loud, you...
So, I got a couple quick points. I've been running a small ag business for about 5 years.
Right.
And it's finally grown to the point that when everybody else was shutting down businesses, I opened brick and mortar during the pandemic. And our town, Shepherdstown, has lost 10 businesses in the last year. I was the crazy fool that opened. I also started working with the food bank. And I noticed that suddenly people who I always thought could make it were coming twice a week for food.
Right.
Part of this is you want to put a sales tax on groceries, am I correct?
Wrong.
That's going?
I don't want anything to do with taxing food.
Okay, well then I'll skip that point. I've built a pretty loyal following. In fact, I came here and found one of my clients.
Good for you.
And, but my nearest competitions are in Virginia, about 45 minutes away. I got one in Maryland, one in Pennsylvania who really can undersell me. In the age of the internet with free shipping, having a brick and mortar is hard. I already have a really slim margin, and I have to discount my stuff by about 3% to compete with my local neighbors. If we go up to this, I'm in Shepherdstown, so I pay an extra 1%. That'll take me to 8.9. I can't shave off 3% to compete. I've got people that'll drive to Hanover to save $20. But if this goes, what's going to effectively happen is it's going to make me spend $200 to buy a U-Haul for the day, spend 4 days to move my store 4 miles north to Maryland, because I cannot cut my prices any lower.
Right.
Now, if I was selling liquor, I wouldn't care. There's 100 drunks going to come in that day. But when I'm doing what I do, if I get 5 clients a day, I am thanking God for it. If I lose 2 of them that day, I'm out of business. And 2 or 3% to you might be play money. To a lot of us, 2 or 3% is the difference of having your head above water. And I look around and see a lot of people standing on their tippy toes, holding up everything they can save with their nose just above water. You raise that 2 or 3%, we're underwater. We don't have to be underwater for long. I've watched, I'm one business that is open in a town that lost 10.
Right.
And I want to stay. I want to stay. But Maryland, I can move 4 miles and keep my business. I can't keep it in West Virginia at 9%.
Okay. Now, I promise you I'll keep my mind completely open, and I hope you'll do the same.
I listen to you in good faith.
Okay. All right. Just think about just the points that you just said. In the last 2 years, 10 businesses died, or whatever it was. Why do you think that's happened?
Most of them were restaurants and small businesses that lost their clientele during the pandemic.
Well,
7 of them happened within the first 4 months.
okay, but let's just say the pandemic leaves and the stimulus money leaves at some point in time. And we hope and pray that that's going to happen for sure, okay? And at that point in time, if there is any business in this area that leaves, or businesses that leave, or people that leave all over our state all the time, we got to do something. We got to come up and we got to do something. And we got to look from the standpoint, I hope and pray we're all West Virginians and we're not just fixated on our own back door, but you've got to be fixated on your livelihood. I get that with all them. Now let me tell you this, my grandparents never had indoor plumbing. And so I truly am not one of these elite rich people that looks and says that 2 or 3% doesn't matter. I got it, it matters. But the thing that you're missing, and you're so missing just this, is if we have everybody with significant money right around you, they're going to buy more stuff from you. They really are. Now, and if we don't, you're stuck right where you're at.
Can I point out what you might be missing there?
Okay, please.
There are people who are gonna get $1,400 who are $18,000 in debt from the pandemic. They're not gonna be spending more money. They're gonna be catching up on bills.
Well, yeah.
Because that's what I look around and see. I have friends that have not paid rent in 5 months. I have friends that are picking up food at the food bank twice a week because they can't afford their groceries anymore. That's the reality. Now, in your down the road forever scenario, 5, 10 years from now, that's true. But until then, it ain't. People are so far down underwater right now, that 2%, that $1,400 is going right out the first bill collector. They're not coming to me. They're not going to Joe's barber shop, wherever he was. They're cutting their hair at home now.
Well, you know, and I don't know I don't know how to combat what you're saying, you know, from the standpoint of, you see, I'm a real believer that if I walked into your house today and gave you $1,483 extra dollars today, as what is going on and has been going on through Donald Trump and now President Biden and everything else, they do this and they call it stimulus for a reason, because people spend the money. I mean, people truly spend the money, and I'm super respectful, and I appreciate what you're saying in every way, but I'm telling you, in my opinion, you're wrong, because people, I believe, when they have this money, it'll wear themselves out in their pocketbook, and they're gonna go spend money.
Come to Shepherdstown tomorrow, I'll introduce you to a bunch of people, and you can ask them personally what they do.
Well, I know, but I'm everywhere talking to everybody. I'm sure that it's the same in Shepherdstown as it is everywhere else. And I totally understand. People are trying to catch up rent, they're trying to do everything under the sun. Lord have mercy, guys, I mean, I've lived every minute of this. I'm the one that reads everybody's name that dies. I mean, for God's sakes, I've lived this like nobody's business. Somebody else has something, please. Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm Casey. I own a vape shop down in Inwood. Also Navy veteran, easier to talk about that.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned that there's some misguided aspect on the e-liquid tax. And I'm not sure that you're aware, this bottle here, I'll go through in about a week. It's 120 milliliters. It's taxed at 0.075 cents right now. So it's $9 tax when I buy this bottle today. This pack of Jewel Pods, 4 of them, people go through that in about a week. I don't use it. It's 20 times the amount of nicotine as this bottle. It's taxed at 21 cents right now.
Right.
So your tax would go to $2.10 on this, $90 on this. This currently retails for $30. Do you believe that somebody would buy this for $120 and not go to Virginia to buy it for $30? Because I believe my shop will be out of business if you raise that tax to 75 cents a milliliter. Now, I'm not anti-tax, so here's my crux of my problem. Is per milliliter disenfranchises certain parts of this business. And I've been advocating for 4 years on the Capitol to go to a percent wholesale. Other tobacco products, you want to go to 19%? Consider these other tobacco products and put them in there. And I just wish you'd listen to that and maybe consider.
No, I will. I mean, let me say this. I've said this 50,000 times. I called the legislative leaders in over and over and over, and I said, tell me what part of this you want to change. Tell me anything. And the feedback wasn't much, you know.
I'll tell you, I talked to Senator Takuba last year, and he had $1 per milliliter. On your commercial business property tax bill last year, the constitutional amendment one, do you remember?
Right, I think I do, yes.
On the third reading, you went on the floor and you gave a speech after my phone call and said, I was mistaken. He was the leader of that bill. He said, I was mistaken. Changed it to percent wholesale. So talk to Senator Blair about his conversation last year on the Senate floor saying he messed up, he wanted to charge $1 a milliliter, and that was the wrong way to go. Change it to percent wholesale.
Okay, let's just think just a second about this. Let's just say that we completely backed up and didn't do anything on the tax in regard to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have said the same thing 1,000 times. We could do that in a second. And I would be absolutely supportive of that. If we could do just something else over here and something else over here. I mean, I have been round and round and round on the tiering and severance tax on the coal side, on the gas side. None of this stuff is set in stone. But I'm telling you just this, I am telling you that the entire package, and the reason we did that is really and truly from the vaping standpoint of the kids. That's, am I right about that, Dave? And everything?
The adults use this, the kids buy this at the sheets and sell it in the bathroom at the school.
Yeah.
We
Well,
ID everybody that comes in, we have an ID scanner that's
Yeah.
done, technology there.
I know, but that's the only thing we were,
That's my thing, is this is 21 cents right now, this is $9 right now.
right.
$2.10, $90.
Okay, so let's just say that's wrong.
It's completely,
Okay, let's say that's wrong.
and that's why I propose a percent wholesale, so if I pay $10 for this and I pay $10 for that, they're taxed at the same rate.
Okay, Dave, come up here
From a
and
business aspect,
now, but what business did you say you were in?
CJ Vapor, so I focus on vaping only, I don't sell
Right.
cigarettes, tobacco, anything of that nature, I'm trying to get people off of tobacco. So,
Works for me.
yeah.
I'm a patron of his.
Mhm.
I only buy from his shop, but if that tax goes in, I will not buy from his shop. I will go across state lines and I
Yeah.
will buy in Winchester, not his
I
shop.
have 2 stores in Virginia, I'm looking to expand in West Virginia, but I can't sell this bottle in West Virginia for $120 when it's $30 in
I won't
Virginia.
pay.
Ain't nobody buying it.
I won't pay.
Well, sir,
$4.
first of all, super thanks for your service. But in regard to that and everything, it's just like the wine situation. I think we've changed the tax on wine to $4 a gallon, changed it at $4 a gallon. It's out of whack, it's out of kilter.
Yeah, you don't tax beer at the same ounce rate as you do liquor, you have different things for that, and that's what I'm saying, the percent wholesale captures the market, so that you're actually getting your tax on the jewel pods and the liquid. I'm not saying I don't want no tax here, I want equity, I want.
Okay, and you gotta understand, from my standpoint, I don't have one God's idea what you're talking
Yeah, and
about.
I'm trying to.
Because I've never had anything to do with any of that, I never will, and and I'm not criticizing, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if a user uses this product in a week and they use this product in a week, and it's the same amount of nicotine we're taking in, you're taxing one at $2 and one at $90.
Okay, we're through that, okay?
Do you see
Let's
the problem?
listen to me. My problem is just this. I'm trying to bring more customers to you. I want to bring more customers to you in every way, okay? Now, how we get there, if we're out of kilter on something, I'm saying I am 100% behind getting in kilter on everything.
Then I can count on you to support the percent wholesale, Jake.
I don't know if I'll do that now because I don't know what that is.
Well, we can.
Let me tell you what we did know when we looked at the tobacco issue. We knew that we had a proposal to raise the tax on a pack of cigarettes, which has 20 cigarettes in it, by $2.25. So then we did research, and if the research is wrong, you can please, because there's a lot of research out there about this liquid product, the vape product. The research showed that 1 milliliter of the liquid product will equal about 7 cigarettes. So 3 milliliters equal 21 cigarettes. So we took $2.25, which was the tax on the cigarettes, 20 smokes, and we did the same math, and that's how we came up with the 0.75 per milliliter on the vaping product. Now, if that science is wrong or the math's wrong, talk to us. That's why we have these meetings.
This is 50 milligrams of nicotine in the milliliter. This is 0.3 milligrams. So when you have a very low nicotine, you use a high amount of vapor. So for me to get the equivalent amount of nicotine, I might be using 10 milliliters versus 1 milliliter. So you can't compare a milliliter of 50 milligrams to a milliliter of 3 milligrams. It's a totally different vaping style, a different device. It's like saying a cigarette's the same as a Cuban cigar. It's not. You get a different amount of tobacco.
You can vary the nicotine on the vape product, right?
Yeah.
Well, our research showed that 1 milliliter equals 7 standard cigarettes. That's what our research showed.
There are certain products that set, so that would probably be very accurate for a jewel pod that's 1 or 0.7 milliliters. I'll fill this tank up that's 5 milliliters about 5 times in a day, so I'm vaping, 25 milliliters, and I'm still vaping less nicotine than one jewel pod because the nicotine level's different. And that's what's keeping me from smoking. There's different product segments. Just as I could drink 1 can of beer and that would satisfy me, somebody might drink a fifth of Jack. There's different strengths of that alcohol.
That's right.
There's different strengths of the nicotine.
Right.
So to accommodate that, you have to look at these 2 products as a different set, or as I propose, a percentage whole set.
How many milliliters is in that liquid product?
120 milliliters.
120 milliliters. So our research would show that that's 40 packs of cigarettes. Am I doing that right? It's 120 divided by 3.
That wouldn't be nowhere near accurate.
How long does that bottle last you?
This bottle lasts me about a week.
All right, now listen, wait, y'all just stop it.
Okay.
Because we got a lot of new people
We
who want to ask.
can spend, go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I would love to take it offline and fully discuss it with you, or.
Well, here's the whole thing, at the end of the day, when as this thing progresses through the House and through the Senate and everything, and then comes back to me, there'll be a lot, I hope and pray that there's gonna be a lot of tweaks to the whole thing. I would be the first to say that if we've got that out of line, I would be absolutely supportive to get it back in line and everything. And so, the only thing that I am trying to say to everyone is, this is I will promise you, and no matter what anyone says, you're not going to convince me any differently. This will be a real boom to business. And but we've got to get it all in kilter.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to speak for my business.
I know, and I got it.
That there's a big disadvantage. I appreciate the whole bill, and I hope we can work together and get it ironed out to something that makes sense
That's,
for everybody.
well, that's exactly what I'm wanting to try to do.
And I'll be here.
Were you going to ask something? Ma'am, I'm sorry. Anybody, questions? Yes, sir.
Hey, Governor Justice, what do you think about the sales tax as an impact on tourism as we try to diversify our statewide economy for different revenue streams
Right.
and attract visitors from the state? What do you think the highest sales tax in the nation will do to our tourism efforts?
Well, first of all, it's not the highest sales tax in the nation, and if you combine, basically the local and the state tax together, ours would be an average of 8.4%. Now, I know right here, maybe in this county, you have a situation where you're tacking on 1, it'd be 7, 9, be 8, 9. Okay, I got that, okay? But as an average, there's about half the counties in the state that don't have that, about half that do. And so when you put it through as an average, we're at 8.4, all right? Tennessee is a perfect example. They're 9.55 right now. What's it doing to Tennessee? I mean, they would be way significantly higher than us, and they are right now. And even with this approach, they would be even more significant, not more, but they would still be significantly above us. What's it doing to Tennessee? And it's real simple. Their population has grown 102%. What's it doing to these places? I mean, that's all we got to do is just look. Yes, sir.
There's a whole lot of other factors going on. I mean, West Virginia's not going down 8% because of our income tax or our sales tax. We're the last broadband or internet access. We're way behind.
Okay,
There's so
sure.
many jobs that can't get, people who during the pandemic had to move out of state just because they couldn't go to work. The education, healthcare, we're so far behind. That's why people leave. I mean, my wife is seriously on my butt to leave to go to Maryland for a better education for our son, and we live in Shepherdstown, which is one of the highest rated educational districts in the state. And still she's going, man, this is kind of lacking. Those
Okay.
factors are way more important.
All right.
So when it
Just,
comes to people spending money in our stores, they literally go, hey, it's $2 cheaper here, 10 miles that direction than it is that direction. And they're gonna go that direction. And so will my business, and his business, all 4 of them.
I'm telling you.
How much of an extraction tax on coal and chemicals could we do that would make the same revenue numbers work? How much we have to tax coal and chemicals, and the pharmaceutical industry in this state that has been given a free ride.
Look,
You've benefited greatly, sir, from the economy of this state. Maybe you need to be the one being responsible.
Okay, all right, but just listen. Who came up with the tiering on the severance tax on coal? Me. In the companies that I have, we have the thinnest seam coal and the highest price coal. Who's it gonna hit harder than anybody else? Me. And I am absolutely dragging them in every way to get them to halfway get across the finish line. And it's me that is going to hurt more than anybody. And I am absolutely dragging them, the coal industry, and they're lobbying against all the lobbyists are up there and everything, doing everything they can possibly do to influence the legislature, and me. So don't you say that about me. I promise you.
If that's true, I commend you.
Well, it's the Lord's gospel facts. So that's all there is to it. Now just hear me out on this. At the end of the day, everything I will tell you is the truth. Everything I'm going to tell you is the absolute truth. You know, I am not going to tell you anything but that. You know, now, I personally believe that if you were a convenience store, there's a reason that you're called a convenience store. I know you're not. But if you're a convenience store, people go to the convenience store and they could all go to Walmart and buy every item in that store cheaper. But yet they go to the convenience store because they want to go to the convenience store. I personally believe that there's a lot of factors that go into the fact that West Virginia's growth is not up. I got that. But let's be fair again. Let's just be fair. In this state, we have a low tax structure, a corporate tax structure. We have the lowest, almost, property taxes of any state just about. We absolutely have worked really hard. We put in a right to work law. We got rid of prevailing wage. Jim Justice came along, did roads to prosperity, made a stake in the sand for education. We haven't raised PEIA in 4 years. We've done everything. None people are coming. You're exactly right. There may be a lot of factors, but I am telling you, just as straight up as I can tell you, this is the one that has all the sex appeal. We are the most northerly and most easterly state to have no income tax. All the population has to come through us to go where we go. There's a lot of factors in this, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of people a heck of a lot smarter than me that have tried everything but the kitchen sink, and they haven't come. They just haven't come. I would be wholeheartedly. I have tweaked the coal severance tax down 3 times to get them to go along. The same thing with the gas industry. I've tweaked 3 times to get them on board. And you've got the exact same thing. Whether it be the soda tax, the soda pop industry, you know, they're sitting out there on the sidelines saying, well, by God, we don't want this to happen. They have increased their soda pop's tax by 1 cent in 70 years. In 70 blooming years. I'm talking about increasing 5 cents. And do you really believe that anybody is going to hardly notice that? And do you really think that we're going to sell less pop if everybody's got all this money? There's no way. There's just no way. Now, from the standpoint of the tobacco and the vaping stuff, or from the standpoint of the beer, wine, or liquor, we may be a little bit out of kilter. And if we are, let's tweak it. And absolutely, I tell the natural resource boys this all the time. My God, don't you feel like you have an obligation to us? The natural resources of this state may be owned privately, but they're ours. So many times, and this has happened, like it or not like it. How many people do you know that left West Virginia and went to Florida and went to all these places? Well, good Lord, I know a bundle of them. They went for a reason. They absolutely went for a reason. They went to get rid of the state income tax. In the state of West Virginia, there's something else. In the state of West Virginia, if you were a sub-S corporation, then what that means basically is all of your earnings that you make in your company flow to you personally. and then you fill out a tax return and you pay taxes on that. Now let's just be bizarre. Let's say that in Maryland, there's a company over there and the owner, and they have 400 people that work there. And the owner is making $10 million a year. And he's a sub-S corporation. He could bring all those employees and all that business over here, and two things would happen to him right off the get-go. You know what would happen to him? If we get rid of the state income tax, he would save himself probably $1 million a year. $1 million a year. It wouldn't be 200, it'd be $1 million a year. Now, would he come or wouldn't he come? The other thing is this, every single last one of his employees, every one of them would get a pay raise. Every one of them. But he wouldn't have to pay it. Every one of them gets a pay raise without him having to pay it. Literally. I'm telling you, there's so many facets of this, unbelievable. You're exactly right. Wish we could make things better from education, or make more better roads, or more broadband. We ought to do all that. I'm trying to do every bit of that. But at the same time, I don't know, just like when I came into office, now just stay with me one more second. When I came into office, like it or not like it, we were dead DOA. Dead. We drained rainy day $300 million and we had nowhere to turn. Nothing. We could have gone out there and leveled off a spot and said, well, we hope they'll come. Bullsnot. They're not. I mean, that ain't gonna work. You had to come up with something that created an instantaneous job. That's what we did with Roads to Prosperity. And we let every road job on the book, we just started boom. And it worked. It really, really worked. Now with all that, I'm telling you, this will work. This will really work. And all I expect you to do is just open your minds, because it'll work. You know, and if we don't do this, you just might as well just buckle up, because I'll promise you, just let me finish. I promise you this will happen. You will doom yourself to be 50th forever. That's all there is to it. Because it ain't gonna change. Yes, ma'am.
I'm the mayor of Martinsburg, and I want to thank you for coming and welcome you to Martinsburg. And please come again. You've had a nice presentation, and we certainly have enjoyed you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, I hear your concerns about how the sodas are going up and their businesses are going up. And I used to live in Montgomery County, Maryland. And out of Maryland, they're the only place that I know of that you can have to pay an extra $1 for a soda or an extra $5 for this. And it hasn't hurt them at all. People have gotten used to it. And it has that income flow. They're one of the best school systems in the United States. They have better income than we do. They have businesses there. But most of the people that live there and that work there live here.
Yeah.
I live in the gallery, which is, it's not the lowest class, but it's not the richest one either. I'm in the middle. And most of my neighbors travel every day to one of these touch states to go to work. And they do that because of West Virginia, because we are the people that they want to be around. We're better than everybody else around us. You can walk from Maryland and just walk across the bridge to West Virginia. You can feel a difference in the air. There's different people. You can bump into people in Hagerstown, Maryland, and get cussed out in the middle of Walmart. You do that here, you walk away with somebody's phone number, their recipe, their daycare provider's name. This is why I moved here from Maryland.
That's great, and you're exactly right. Now, the one other thing I'd add to that, you know what I'm wanting to have happen? I'm wanting you to not have to drive to Maryland to go to work. I'm wanting to have that job and that great opportunity right here too.
My husband works for FedEx. He's getting home 9, 10 o'clock at night, even 7 o'clock in the morning because we're booming around here.
Yeah.
We've got P&G that's building more places now. We've got kitty litter place coming, and we've got thousands of jobs. We have houses just in my community that are just booming. Everywhere you look, things are moving. We're shaking it up. We're getting these people from all these touch states that we used to go visit, and they're coming here. We're getting those restaurants that were way down in Montgomery County and only daggone Virginia, like Home Goods.
Yeah.
We've got that now.
I know.
And people are coming to us to go shopping. So
And you really are the model. I mean, you've got to know that from where I'm from and everything else, it's like going into the dark ages compared to what's going on here. But we want what's going on here everywhere too. And we want what's going on here to get even better, you know, and the opportunity, because we know that there is a migration every day in the early hours of the morning of people going here to go to other states for work. And I'd love it if we didn't have to do that. Yes, ma'am, were you last? I'm sorry, I thought I saw some. Yes, sir.
I have a question on the initial, I don't know if it's part of the bill, it was said that Schedule C business profits, farm income, pass-through entity would not be exempt, we'd still be paying taxes on that, so.
That's right in the very shortest term. Now, from my standpoint, really and truly, I would love for us to inject part of that right now. But the problem with the whole thing is just this. I mean, here, now just stay with me just a second. You got people who are choking like crazy and saying, well, how are we going to make up this difference? And what are we going to do? How are we going to make up the difference and everything? That in itself right there would bring us tons more job opportunities and stuff like that. But what we did is just shove that to the back of the line to where that would be the second year or third year, we'd still get rid of that.
Is it written on paper, or that's just your hope it'd be the second?
No, I don't, is that in the bill, Dave? No, it's not in the bill.
The hope is to get it going, it works good, and then businesses decide to get the same tax rate, or small businesses.
That's exactly, I mean, and in fact, by the time this gets written, I'm going to re-propose that we put part of that back in by the time that it gets finished up. And the reason for that is it'll just incentivize our businesses for people to come and just what you're talking about.
Are you talking about taxing things like livestock?
Tell me, Dave, I don't, no, this is,
Purely income tax, it's not,
Yeah.
nothing to do with,
Yeah, like, as a small business owner, I file Schedule C, all my business income is what I live off of.
right.
So 100% of my income is Schedule C. I'm guessing a farmer, Schedule F, 100% of their
Right.
income is farm income. So we wouldn't see nothing for a year, 2 years, possibly.
I think by the time this final product comes out, you'll see something immediately. I would love it if we could get that done, because that in itself will actually promote more businesses to move their employees here. And do you understand what I'm saying about,
Yeah.
if you, pick a number, you got 100 employees, and they're living in Maryland. And if they move here, they're gonna pay less taxes. And by paying less taxes, really and truly, every one of them are getting a raise without the employer, the owner having to pay for it. That's what I'm talking about everybody getting a raise without the owner paying for it. But what you're saying is a Schedule C and those folks, where their income flows all the way down to you, you know, from the business, profits and losses, as they come all the way down to you, we've got to make it to where you are getting a tax reduction as we're going forward, because that'll just bring more businesses to us.
Yeah, if I were to start up another business with 3 or 4 employees and I'm taxing the same rate, would I want to do it in West Virginia or Virginia if I'm paying income tax in West Virginia?
Well, if we can get this done, you're going to end up doing it here, and you'll love it before it's over. Yes, sir.
I see your point that, you know, someone has 100 employees, they can come here, they give them raises, and it won't cost them anything.
Right.
But this is shifting to the small person who has 5 employees or 2 employees. They're carrying the burden of it. Someone with 100 employees can afford a 2% change. We can't. And too often in our country, the littlest working class, the lowest small businesses carry the burden for the heavy people who can really afford it.
Well,
We need, if you want to take this, shift it up to the people that can afford it, not to the people who are just getting by.
well, listen, you know, we're not going to agree on one thing, and it's just this, is I mean it when I say that these
It's all like
big,
the guy with $10 million that'll save $1 million when he gets here. Well, we're talking about people who need $5,000.
but I only brought that up because I'm talking about somebody that had a bunch of employees that had a gigantic profit, and we're trying to entice them to come here. Now just listen, stay with 2 employees. It's no different on 2 employees or 2,000 employees. It's not. It's really not. You know, if you just look right here, just look at what we're talking about. Those two employees, if they're making $35,000 a year, they're gonna put another, I don't know, it's $390 or $410 or $460 in their pocket every year. If you don't want to have that, there's nothing I can do about it. That will absolutely happen. And not only that, all of those people will have money to come to your place and buy something.
If we were past the devastation of the pandemic.
There's nothing I can do about that either. I'm trying to get us there, but if we wait, when the pandemic leaves, here's what'll happen. Right now, everybody's looking at West Virginia. Just turn the TV on. Turn it off if you see me on. But just turn the TV on. There I'll be, and it'll all be West Virginia, West Virginia, West Virginia. How many times have we ever been on there? Never. You know. And the reason they're looking at us now is partly the pandemic and how we've handled it and everything else of the sudden. Now, we push it off and we don't do anything. Now, if we do this, it's going to be all over God's green acres. Now, if we don't do it, and we wait till the pandemic and everything's all gone, do you think we're going to be there on that TV? There's no way. There's no way. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Governor, I'm Tina Combs with Martinsburg, Berkeley County Chamber of Commerce. And
Yes.
first of all, we want to thank you for your leadership throughout the pandemic. You and your team have just done an amazing job, and we thank you so much.
Thank you.
We certainly agree with you that eliminating the personal income tax would benefit our state. We are just concerned, as others have expressed, how that money is derived. And being a border county, this gentleman here gave a perfect example. People go across the state line for a few penny savings on a gallon of gas. So we're concerned about how that will affect our business community. And also, the professional services taxes and that type of thing. So again, we agree with you. Let's eliminate the personal income tax. We understand that the House has a bill that's been introduced by the House Finance right now that would eliminate it over a 12-year period without increasing these consumer sales tax and the other professional services taxes. So we thank you so much.
No, thank you, God.
Lots of heads nodding.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'll shut up. You heard my voice.
You know, I got it, and I can just tell you just this, that if you want to get rid of your state income tax, in all honesty, just like any and every other state in the nation, you have to go through and raise certain things. You're not going to get there any other way. And from the standpoint of, the situation where you're going to do it, and you're going to do it over 12 years, and it's not going to have to raise anything and everything. If you believe that, I've got some real great oceanfront property in Kansas I can sell you too, because that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And the other thing is, who is going to come here on the belief that it is going to happen from another state, because you're going to try to sell goods that you're going to get rid of this over 12 years. That's not going to happen either. And from the standpoint of our professionals paying the dollars, here's what I would tell you about that. Probably the biggest trial lawyer in Charleston is Steve Farmer. And Steve Farmer with Farmer, Klein, and Campbell, or Campbell and Klein, is standing arm in arms with me. The last guy that ran in the primary against me for governor was Woody Thrasher, arm in arm. The last guy that I ran against, the time before this one on the Republican side, and ran against me and running for governor, Bill Cole, arm in arm. The last guy that was president of the Senate, Mitch Carmichael, arm in arm. They're all arm in arm for a reason, because they really, really get it. Our chamber came out really early and really, I think, hurt a lot of people. And a lot of times our chamber is really penny wise and pound poor. From the standpoint of our professionals, plumbers, electricians, they all have to pay this. From the standpoint, just ask yourself just the simplest question that I've posed so many times. If you're a lawyer downtown, how are you going to grow your business? There's only one way to grow your business, and that's more people come. Without any question, we're losing people. How are you going to grow your business if you're an accountant? You got to have more people. On top of that, every one of those households out there has got that $1,483. Do you not think that somebody's going to go downtown and see a lawyer and get a will written or go see an accountant about something? More than they are today. Well, of course they are. Of course they are. There is no possibility that you could argue with me that the dress shop downtown, if we do what we're doing, isn't going to sell more dresses than they're selling today. There's no possibility of it. Now, all I can do with all in me is just try to take you there. From my standpoint, if this doesn't go, you know what this is? This is not one thin nothing to scab off my nose. It won't matter to me. It won't matter to me at all. But absolutely, if you don't see this, and it doesn't jump out at you, that we have absolutely not grown population, we have lost population in the same 70 years that the United States of America has doubled in population, doubled, and you don't want to do something about it, then you got a real problem. This is the thing that has the most sex appeal and the most appeal of anything else out there. And it's worked and worked and worked and worked. The only place you could possibly come up and say this has had trouble working is Kansas. And I would say right off the get-go, who wants to go to Kansas? And the population is within a rock's throw of us. Do you know what the biggest sound that you would hear if you do this? Is you would hear this sucking sound as all the people from Baltimore and Maryland and DC and all these people exit where they're at. The biggest problem that you're going to have is how can you hire enough people to do the business that you're going to be doing? Because they're going to come like you can't imagine them coming. And everyone here is going to have that money. And the advertisers, you know, the professional services, people like with radio and TV have said many times to me, said just this, they said, well, you know, we're going to have to charge an extra 7.9% on our advertisers that are advertising when we build the advertising. And I said, that's exactly right. Now let's be the TV station. Just 1 second. The TV station on a person, you know, like this gentleman here calls up and wants an ad on a TV station. And let's say it's going to cost $1,000. You know, they're going to have to bill him $1,079. And they think they're going to lose business, lose advertisers. I would challenge you with just this. If every single person out there has got that $1,483, you're going to be scrambling like crazy, calling the TV station 14 times a day, trying to get more and more and more ads because you're wanting that money. You're wanting the money from the people. Now, if the taxes are, you know, out of proportion, well, get them in proportion. You know, that's wrong. And I'll give you that. But I am trying to drive so much business at you. Okay. Yes, sir.
Can we make a law for all the people that move here from DC and Baltimore that when they get here, they act like West Virginians?
Well, we'll keep them in a small percentage, a really small percentage until they become indoctrinated, you know, because, you know, like right now, and I've got to tell you this because I see your mask, you know, I think when you turned around, whatever, it had Trump on it. Did it have Trump on it?
It's Martinsburg Airport, New Deal.
Oh, okay, I thought it did. But let me just tell you just this. You know, President Trump is really a personal friend. And his family is great. Eric, we've been so far back in the woods together, you know, it's unbelievable, and blew the tire out on my Suburban, and he was underneath my Suburban with me trying to change the tire. I mean, I know him, and I know him like the back of my hand. And one thing that's going on that is kind of what you're referring to, and all I could think about when you were asking the question is just this. You know, the Biden administration gets and talks about the vaccine and all kinds of stuff like that. And I, honest to goodness, believe, and I, again, if you're a Republican or Democrat or Independent, I don't really care. I care about just this, appreciation should be given where appreciation is due. And every last one of us, every time a shot goes in somebody's arm, should thank President Trump. Because he did something that was unbelievable. And for, President Biden to stand and just ignore that, I think it's terrible. But a lot of folks that could move here and everything, I hope they'll take up our values and everything, because we have some awful good ones. Okay. It'll be crunch time for y'all, and everything. I love you with all my soul. You two serve with every bit of it. And you too. And thank you again for your service. Okay, thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all.